take that as you will. So this is a work in progress for me. So I wanted to talk to you about competitive intelligence gathering. I ran a one question poll earlier this week, and I asked people, I gave people one of 4 options. What's the one thing that prevents you from really doing a robust competitive intelligence gathering project? And the overwhelming feedback was, I'm too busy working with my current clients to pay much attention to what my competition is doing. Well, as a freelance marketing consultant, as I am and as Courtney is, we have, many people who can potentially do what we're doing, as well as maybe better than us, but all of whom, come to the marketplace from a different set of purposes and viewpoints and strengths. And over the course of time, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me to log this information in a legitimate CRM system, because I'm not planning to be in communication with them or courting them necessarily as marketing prospects for my business, but I do have to keep track of them somehow. And so what I've been doing over the course of time is keeping this rather large spreadsheet that's growing and changing over time. What I wanted to do, I felt like this, and because the number of competitors is so many, it has grown quite a bit, I wanted to create a dashboard or something that allowed me to work with that data at a glance, and that would make me, that would actually not overwhelm me, but rather would give me some point of leverage that would allow me to keep coming back and routinely checking up on my competitors, in much the same way that some of you might use CRM to nurture your close prospects and be in frequent communication with your routine recurring clients. So this is a sort of a philosophical work in progress, and it emanates from this basic idea. You may have a lot of different ways for to, let me see if I can, no, it doesn't, I was hoping I could get my screen, my camera back on again, but never mind. You may have a lot of different ways for assessing what your competitors can do, but I've boiled it down to basically three quantities that you can track that really make the most difference, and that you can, measure in a nutshell. You don't have to necessarily have an entire algorithm figured out for assessing your competitors. You can do it as a gut check. And those 3 things are the competitive strength of your competitor. In other words, how closely does what they offer compare to yours, and in every other aspect of how they are positioned. Are they local to you, et cetera, et cetera. The second variable is how competent is their marketing, how frequently are they doing it, how many different channels are they in, and all of that's relative to you. And finally, what's the strength of the relationship that you have with them? Is it warm or cold? So the color coordination here, the color spectrum here, which just as an aside, this was put together using Excel's conditional formatting, which I will just point out as a highlight. I believe that all I need to do is just highlight that column, and you'll be able to see that you can use a color scale, and I picked one that's fresh out of this set of ready available options, just as a guideline, as something that makes some sense to me to do. So as we're going through and measuring all of that, I wanted to create something that was more like a dashboard, because, I wanted to create something that was more like a dashboard just because I wanted to be able to keep coming back to it and update it frequently. And I also felt that every time that I go and look at a competitor's website, I go really in my head about it. You know, I start to, it's a very emotional roller coaster when you're looking at a competitor's website or marketing materials, and usually you're pretty overwhelmed, just going, oh, you know, they really nailed it. But sometimes you find some things in there that you want to emulate. So the goal of having this sort of routinized is it maybe take some of the emotionality out of it, and it also makes it more of a routine thing. I'm gonna hazard a question for the group. Does anybody have a regular competitive analysis plan of attack or routine that they go through with any regularity that they feel like they could volunteer, or at least just to say that they do?
This is Stacy. We do track competitor who won in our CRM system. So we have a way to track all the competitors and then to select the one that won if we lost. And so at the time that you close a record, you have to fill in who actually won. And then at the end of the quarter, every quarter, I do a competitive analysis. So I look at basically what is our hit rate against our major competitors. How many proposals have we lost or won, or dollar-wise, how much dollar in ECV or in contract value have we won versus lost against our certain competitors.
And you're able to compare those. You're able to do a head-to-head comparison.
Yeah, just by individual proposal, individual effort. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I see. Cool. Anyone else? Well, that's a pretty sophisticated way of doing it. Oh, somebody else?
I was just going to say, I have tracked in the past, just put competitors in our database, in our CRM, you know, just along with everybody else, and they're just marked as, you know, the type of record is marked as a competitor with a little bit of information about, you know, what markets they're in and what they do and that kind of thing.
So your CRM does end up serving as sort of your radar. It contributes to your radar screen, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah. So this workbook was actually entitled Radar Matrix because again, for that reason, because I felt like I don't want to include this information in a CRM system. But that, you know, that's my choice. Now I'm going to show you what and I really wanted to make this as literal a radar screen as possible. And so here's what I ultimately did. Excel creates a chart like this. It's called a radar chart, but this graphs each of those three series on the same set of numbers. But it's, as you can see, kind of a mess. It's a jumble, and it's not easy to read. The idea would be, of course, that I put myself, and this is my company, Design Product Systems, at the middle, and everybody else is arrayed around me, and you can see how competitive they are relative to me. The ones that are the most competitive are closest to me, and so on. The improvement on this is a combination chart. So it's a radar chart and a bubble chart. And this actually involves a little bit of programming in the macro language and the Visual Basic for Applications editor, I was able to use Excel just to create the radar chart as it was, as you just saw it, with a couple of tweaks. And then there was I wrote a program that iterated through each one of these markers, because I chose to just keep one of them and dump the other three, and fold those values into the coloration and the sizing of the markers. So in this reading of the radar chart, we've got this big dark blue circle, which is somebody who's doing a lot of marketing, but not super competitive to me, and who I don't have who I have kind of a cold relationship with, and that could be just because I'm haven't reached out to them in a while, or because I had a negative experience with them, or I consider them either something. But all of that is, again, you can change it up however you want. I'm in the process of developing this even further to separate out the really extreme threats from the potential partners and allies. And what I ultimately want to have is a version like this. Now, this is done by hand. Well, the addition of this of the lines and stuff I've added in by hand, but it just segments out again. It approximates a quadrant, like if you're familiar with the Gartner Magic Quadrant, that categorizes different software providers by whether they're niche players or market leaders, or they've got a couple of other categorizations, but they have 4 of them. And this is intended to sort of approximate that. And then the idea, again, would be that here at a glance, you've got a dashboard that you can relate to, provided that you know how to read it really well, and you know what all of the variables mean at a glance. And I believe that this might be a better tool that would help anybody who has a tricky and crowded, potentially crowded field of competition to sort of manage and find their way in, and things are changing all the time, that they'd be able to keep up with that and be able to manage the variables that matter the most, which is bringing up, increasing the level of how competitive you are with that competition, maybe styling some of the marketing that you do and following their lead, or being in the places where they are, and finally reaching out and trying to improve to the fullest extent possible your relationships directly with those people, because some of them might be really influential. They might be able to partner with you or feed you work or what have you. So are there any comments or questions about this?
I'm kind of curious on your dashboard, what some of those, what some of those identifiers are, or what they mean.
Okay. Well, I'll just a sec. This dashboard is okay. This screen and this screen are essentially the same data in the same arrangement. What I've done,
not that one, the one before.
This one?
No, your Excel.
Oh, the spreadsheet itself?
Spreadsheet, yeah.
Oh, okay, sure, right. This.
Yes, that one.
Oh, okay. Well, I just these are the 3 items that I've
that you were mapping. Okay.
Yeah, that I've mapped, and there's a few others in here that are again, I haven't really figured out a way to graphically do anything with them because it's an awful lot. And this spreadsheet ends up being sort of a catch-all. You know, it includes a lot of information, and it will probably doubtlessly include even more. I'm not quite sure I'm answering your question.
Well, because I was looking at it and I thought, okay, so we've got respect and deprecate. What does that mean? I'm just curious.
You wanted to know about that, did you?
Yes, that piqued my interest.
Well, as I said, here's why. So much of I didn't. Yeah, you kind of got me. You know, guilty. You have to figure out or I had to figure out in such a threatening landscape, you had to kind of figure out who your major threats and who your minor threats were. And as there are, you know, everything's kind of relative. So I've been assessing new entrants into the competitive fray as I find them. And I kind of do a gut check, and it's very subjective. You know, do I like what they're doing? Do I really see them as being, you know, respectable or not? And that is, again, totally a subjective measurement. And these three numbers, which you can actually, you know, turn into quantities, are probably better indicators of that. But I haven't developed this to the point where I've got a full algorithmic expression of. I can't boil this all down into one number, and so that's the thing that I'm kind of working on.
Right. So that's sort of a number from 1 to 5, you know, as to where you think they rank.
Yeah, how strong they are in each of the three variables that I have. Yeah, and somebody else might adopt a different you know, a different range. I mean, these are if you're familiar with Likert scales, you know that's what this essentially is, a number, you know, assigning this a value from 1 to 5, least to greatest, you know, the kind of thing you see on survey forms. That's I learned a long time ago that that's an easy thing to adopt whenever you can if you're trying to evaluate something, is to just stick it on give it a numeric scale and evaluate it that way. I mean, one could potentially do that with, you know, the other items over to the left, but you know, there's like 2 or 3 different approaches to answering essentially the same or similar questions about competition analysis. Any general questions on the? Wow, any general questions I can answer? How is this landed for all of you?
Can you go back to the final graphic that you showed before?
Sure. This one?
Yeah. So
Sure.
Can you explain what the numbers 1 through 121 mean?
Oh, the numbers are just, they're the series, they're essentially the row numbers. When Excel creates this radar chart, this is okay, I'm going to show this one. I'm sorry, this one. This is the more, this is the basic radar chart that you can create in Excel using, you know, using its own native capabilities, where there's no programming involved, is what it looks like. And it, the numbers are essentially the numbers of the series. So essentially equivalent to row numbers.
Could you put the client's name in there, or not the client, the vendor, or the?
You could.
The company? Yeah, that might be more informational.
Yes, absolutely. And again, this is a work in progress, and that's something that I found to my surprise and delight that you can do very easily.
Okay.
And in fact, I've done it on another version of this. So this was, you're looking at various iterations of this same design, and the shapes have shifted a little bit with the passage of time, and with the focus being changed. But this is the most recent one. And all I had to do in order to do this was really stupid. All I had to do was go to the spreadsheet and select the names of the companies or the vendors, as you said, and copy and paste, or rather copy it as a block, and then move it over here. And then just all I did was do Control V paste, and to my surprise, voila, they show up like this. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a jumble, but this is something that I kind of wanted to see anyway. And I'm just glad I was able to do it in Excel. I didn't have to, A, go into PowerPoint, B, pick a page dimension, and C, try to figure out how to make it fit on a page and be visible, and so on and so forth. So this is actually pretty good progress, even though it's, even though it's not perfect.
Okay, and so the closer to the center, the more competitive to you they are. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
And the larger the, go ahead.
So some of them are blue, some of them are white, and some of them are pink. What does the white mean?
Yeah. They're a color spectrum, so it runs from blue is one extreme, white is in the middle, and the red is the other extreme.
Okay.
That's derived from Excel's conditional formatting. I'll go back to that worksheet and show you.
Okay.
So in order to apply that, you see it applied here, and to do it, in fact, I could probably demonstrate it for you just using this one instead.
But the white isn't blank. The white is an actual indication.
Yeah, the white is an indication, and that's just because I believe it's possible to, if I had my druthers, I would pick a different, I would pick a different color in the middle, but I'm just using at this point what Excel offers me to start with, and I'm sure if you were to dig around inside of this item here, we might be able to find it.
Yeah, you can change the conditional formatting colors. You can customize them.
Yeah, or you can. It says more rules. You can probably create your own, but that's just a matter of personal taste and design and how much time you have and how willing you are to get your hands really dirty in the innards of Microsoft Excel itself. As I said at the very beginning, Excel is a very versatile application and basically combines on your desktop, a data container, a programming language, and a whole lot of presentation features that are just multiplying all the time with little worksheet level things like this that lend themselves to easier visualization and consumption of data. So it's amazing that there is this much capability and flexibility in it. But there's sort of that caveat, which is you can really personalize it, but you never really quite know what you're doing or where you did it. And I'm not talking about manipulating the data in the spread in a workbook, because you know where your data is. It's in a workbook. You've saved it. It's a file. But when you start to create templates or add in your own branding and personalization features, that's where it gets a little bit, well, that's where it's become challenging for me. And I suspect that there are experts out there and even like graphics professionals that have really dug into their individual like copies of Excel on their desktops to make them look exactly the way that they want, with the colors that are branded and the fonts that are branded. That's one thing I aspire to accomplish, you know, eventually, but it does take a lot of work. And again, I'm just like you, just trying to work with all the data that keeps coming at me.
This is very impressive.
Thank you. And with that in mind, this is in fact a work in progress, and I will be offering. I'll probably be doing a talk or a presentation on this thing. I was kind of surprised that I was able to get to it on this call today. But as you see, it's a work in progress, and I would be pleased to be able to work with any of you if you wanted to adopt this or adapt it to suit your own purposes, and maybe even to develop out an even more methodical and mathematical way of analyzing and keeping up with your competitors. I don't quite have it ready yet for the purposes of this call, but I'll be at a later point, I'll be able to offer some kind of a template that could get you started if you wanted to do a competitive intelligence gathering dashboard like this.
Fantastic. Well, it looks like we are over time, so I want to respect everyone's time. And Mike, thank you so much for being the guest speaker today. We greatly appreciate it. I did have a couple emails come in that said that one person tried to get in and couldn't get Zoom to work, and then another person had the wrong link. So there seems to be some miscommunication, definitely. Like I said, Eventbrite has been messing up for us. It did yesterday too. So I'm going to get to the bottom of that piece, but I will get the recording up on the recap so that those who missed it or join late can go to the pieces that they missed. But thank you all for those that joined and were able to hang in there. And if you know anybody who would like to be the guest speaker for next month is open, so November 12th. If you have something that you'd love to share or to talk about, we'd love to hear from you. And then December 10th, we're going to have Jen Newman as our guest speaker, and she's going to be talking about BD plan accountability through your CRM. So definitely let me know about the November 12th spot, and then we will send out the recap shortly. Mike, did you have any other final words?
Final word is, I'm sorry I won't be able to show you my smiling face here, but nevertheless, I won't be able to I wanted to put that Winderstat link in for you, but I won't be able to. Here we go. Oh, well, if it lets me. Huh. Oh, hi. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Anyway, I won't. I'm sure that if people have to go, I will just send Courtney the link or the information
Absolutely.
about Winderstat, that file graph showing project program, which I encourage you to use. And again, I'm glad to have made it through this entire presentation. It's been that was as any speaker will tell you. So thank you all for your attention, and I'm really glad that this was so well received. And please feel free to contact me through Courtney if you have any follow-up questions. I'll send my contact information through her, but I'll also give you. I suppose in the chat window I could in fact give you my website, Earl, if that's all right with Courtney.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It is, hang on, it is, here we go, www.designproductsystems.com. And there you have it. So if you go there, you can find out more about me. And there we are. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Courtney.
Sounds good. You guys have a great rest of your day and your week, and hopefully I'll see you next month.
Thanks,
Have a
Courtney.
good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.